Charlie gives online lessons on how to write articles, and all of the students open their cameras except for him. After the lesson is over, Charlie appears. He is very fat, and everything around him is put in a certain way to take them easily. On top of that, he has catchers in the ceiling to hold it when he sleeps or when he goes to the bathroom. After the lesson is over, Charlie sits alone, but suddenly he has a heart attack and he can't breathe, and feels incredible pain in his chest. At this time, someone knocks on him, saying he wants to talk to him. Charlie doesn't know what he wants, but tells him to open the door. Then a young man named Thomas appears. Thomas gets so excited when he sees Charlie in this situation. He doesn't know what to do, but Charlie asks him to read this article. And once Thomas reads it, Charlie feels that he calms down, as if he has forgotten all the pain he feels. After this, Thomas asks him about what he was reading to him. Charlie tells him it is just an article. Short time later, Thomas sits with Charlie and tells him that he is one of the missionaries of Christianity, and calls people for belief in the New World Faith. The New World Faith believes that Christ will appear again, and will liberate them from the world in which they live. And a new life will begin with Christ, free from pollution, and all the sins that humans committed after their exit from paradise. Then, Charlie interrupts him and tells him that he doesn't care what he says. After that, Charlie asks Thomas to bring him his mobile phone, because he can't get it. Thomas gives him the phone, but before Thomas walks, a woman named Liz arrives. Liz is Charlie's nurse and his best friend. Meanwhile, Liz measures his pressure, but finds it is more than 200, so she is shocked and asks him about the symptoms he felt. Charlie then tells her that he couldn't breathe and was suffering from chest pain. According to the above, Liz examines him and hears his breath, which is a wheezing sound. After the examination, Liz says to Charlie that he suffers from severe heart failure, and he must be taken to the hospital immediately, but Charlie refuses. Additionally, he tells her that he isn't willing to pay the $10,000 to the hospital because he has no insurance. So, Liz tells him that it is better to have debts than die. But Charlie is determined and refuses to go to the hospital, so Liz ignores him. During that time, Liz asks Thomas about what he is doing here, and he tells her that he is a missionary from the church. Liz asks Thomas if he knows someone named Aiden, and Thomas tells her that he almost knows him. She tells him that he is her father, and that he is a Christian pastor. On top of that, Liz lives all her life with a person who believes in the same beliefs as Thomas. And she advises Thomas to stop talking to Charlie about this, because the church was the cause of the death of the closest person to him. The church destroys his life, and it makes Charlie into the person he sees now. The church was the cause of terrible pain in Liz's life too. And because of this, Liz and Charlie don't need to be with Thomas. But Thomas objects and tells her he comes here to help Charlie. Liz then tells him that Charlie won't even live until next week. Meanwhile, Charlie interrupted them when he comes back from the bathroom and sits on the sofa. Then Thomas decides to leave, but Thomas asks Charlie again about what he read and made him better. Charlie says, "It's a well-written article, nothing more." At this time, Thomas goes, and it is clear that he will come back again. Liz sits with Charlie and begs him to go to the hospital, but Charlie changes the subject and makes her laugh. They sit together watching a movie, then Charlie asks Liz to bring him food. It is clear that she is upset, because she will give him the poison, or the food that will be the cause of his death. And it seems that Charlie eats too much, as if he's punishing himself. After a while, Liz goes. Charlie prepares himself to go to sleep, and reads another part of the article. Then he leaves the paper while he goes to the room. But he completes this article from his mind, because it appears that he has memorized it well. In general, the topic of the article is about a pirate who lived his whole life trying to kill a whale. Although the whale has no emotions, the pirate thinks that his life will be better when he kills the whale. Though, the whale is just a poor big animal, doesn't know what he is waiting for. During that time, Charlie continues reading until he falls asleep. In the next day, he decides to search more about the disease that Liz told him about. But he finds that it is a serious disease, and he must go to the hospital. When he sees the emergency number, he locks his laptop, being nervous, and continues his normal daily routine, takes a shower, then shaves his beard and sits to eat. After he finishes, he puts food in a pigeon dish on his window. Undoubtedly, he is clearly a very kind person. Suddenly, the door is knocked, so he tells the one who is knocking to open the door, and finds his daughter Ellie before him. Charlie hasn't seen her for a very long time. Meanwhile, Charlie is surprised that Ellie is there, and asks about her school. Ellie tells him that she will be expelled from the school, because she refused to write a specific article about something topic. In her opinion, it is an unnecessary subject, and it isn't worth the effort she will make. Charlie tries to ask Ellie more about her and her life, but Ellie gets mad at him, and asks him if he will take care of her now. Charlie tells her that he always asks her mother about her, but she refuses to tell him. Ellie tells him nervously that she is his daughter, and Charlie left her when she was 8 years old because of his love. Then he abandoned Ellie and her mother a long time ago. Charlie asks her to spend time together, to get to know each other more. But Ellie tells him that she's not coming to spend time with him, and she doesn't even know why she is here, although he is a bad person to her. Charlie tells her that he knows he's getting overweight, since the last time she saw him. She tells him that he isn't a bad person because he gets overweight, but he'll still be a bad person even if he's thin. And all of this because of what he did with them. Before she walks away, Charlie stops her, and asks her to spend time with him in exchange for giving her money. Ellie stands in her place, and asks him about the money he has. Charlie tells her that he has about $120,000, and that he will give this money to her, and will help her to graduate from school by writing articles. Then he shows her the online lessons that he gives to the students. Charlie tells her that he is a writer, and will be able to help her, and she can help him with writing, because he feels that she is smart, and one day she will be a great writer. However, she doesn't answer him, and opens the door to walk. But suddenly, she looks at him, and asks him to come to the place where she is standing. Charlie holds his stick, but Ellie refuses, and asks him to come without the stick. Charlie tries to stand without the stick, but he keeps falling until he presses on himself. Then the table breaks, and Charlie falls again on the sofa. After this, Ellie looks at him in an ugly way, and walks away. After a while, Liz comes and finds out that Ellie was here. She then asks him not to allow Ellie to come again, because he is already sick and dying, and he can't stand her. After that, Charlie tells her that he needs to spend time with Ellie, and help her with her homework. But Liz gets mad at him, and begs him not to do that to himself. On top of that, she refuses to give him food, unless he assures her that he will not let his daughter come again. So, Charlie tells her that he won't do that again, then he eats. Liz gets up to wash the dishes, but suddenly, Charlie coughs hard. It is clear that he can't eat the food anymore, and Liz goes to him quickly to save him. She breaks down as she tells him to chew the food well, because she isn't ready to see him die in front of her. But Charlie tells her that he is fine. He opens his laptop and shows Ellie's profile. It makes him feel that she is a lonely and sad person, and the only unknown girl who wrote to Ellie a comment, insulting her. Liz gets very upset, but then apparently that she loves Ellie. The next day, Charlie teaches the lessons to his students, and closes the camera as usual. He asks them to express themselves in the article without fearing that people will judge them or even not understand their writings. The most important thing is they understand and accept themselves by expressing their personal and true opinions. After the lesson, Charlie is going to get a book, but he sees a picture of him with his friend who died. Liz was talking about this friend, so Charlie gets very sad, and says he wants to enter his friend's room again. Charlie tries to get the key, but the key falls on the floor. Then tries to catch it with the holder he uses to catch the things that fall from him, but he fails. Charlie keeps the key in his place, and goes back to the sofa. After a while, his daughter Ellie comes to sit with him, but all the time, she holds her mobile. Charlie tries to let her express her ideas in the article that they are going to write. However, Ellie refuses, and wants him to write the article to graduate. But suddenly, Ellie asks him about the cause of his friend's death. Charlie refuses to answer her, and insists on letting her write what she feels, as the way he deals with his students. He enters the bathroom, and there he breaks down crying because of his friend who died. Meanwhile, Ellie hears him, and asks him if he is okay. Ellie tells him the only condition that will allow her to enter the bathroom for him is if he's dying. But Charlie tells her that he is fine, then continues to cry. And Ellie notices the plate of pigeon food. In a few moments, the door knocked, and she finds Thomas before her. As a result, She deals with him rudely and makes fun of his religious beliefs. Ellie tells him that these beliefs aren't important, so Thomas gets embarrassed and can't answer her. But Ellie introduces herself to him and tells him her name, as if she tries to handle the situation with him, then she leaves. Thomas stays with Charlie to convince him of the theory of the new world. However, Thomas is surprised that Charlie knows all the information about them, because Charlie read the Bible more than once. Thomas tells him that he feels that God sent him to Charlie, because the first time Charlie would have died without his help. Meanwhile, Liz enters and interrupts them, and she bought a wheelchair for Charlie to move easily. Then Liz asks Thomas to talk privately, telling him what the church had done to her and her older brother. She says her brother was carrying out church education and preaching Christianity in South America until his father forced him to get married. From this moment, her brother's life was destroyed and he became an addicted person. He couldn't eat anything, so he became very thin. And one day, the police found his body thrown in the river. Her brother committed suicide because of his father. But for her, his father killed his son, and her brother is Charlie's friend who died. Charlie interrupts them, and knows they are talking about his friend, so he goes in. All day, Charlie sits alone, and stays silent until Liz walks. He then goes into his friend Alan's room, and looks at the room from afar. He goes back to sit alone, and reads the Christian learning books that Thomas gave him. After a while, the pizza man arrives. Charlie puts the money in the box next to the door, because he is too shy for anyone to see him, and feels disgusted because of his appearance. But the pizza man decides to introduce himself to Charlie. He says that his name is Dan, and asks Charlie behind the door if he needs anything else. But Charlie thanks him. After minutes, Charlie makes sure that the delivery man walked away, and goes out to get the delivery as usual. He looks at the note that he asked his daughter to write what she feels. Then he reads that she hates him and the whole world. Charlie breaks down crying, but he memorizes the 2 sentences, and reads the article he was reading again. After that, Charlie wrote the 2 sentences that his daughter Ellie wrote in his article. The next day, his daughter Ellie comes to him. Then he gives her the note, and asks her to complete the writing. But Ellie tells him directly that she hates him. After this, Charlie tells her that it's okay to hate him and gets angry with him. But it isn't right that she hates and gets angry with the whole world because of him. She is mad, and tells him that he left her when she was 8 years old. If Charlie is trying to prove to himself that he is right, this means that he is a liar. Since her childhood, Charlie taught her a lesson, which is that all people are cruel, and she can't trust anyone else. She continues talking, saying she just needed him to be a part of her life. Charlie tells her that he tried and asked her mother to get close to Ellie, and let Ellie see him. But her mother refused. Meanwhile, Charlie begs Ellie to forgive him, because he didn't try more than that. Charlie then asks her to look at him, and tells her that there is no one in the world who would like to be a part of his life, while he is in such an ugly appearance. Ellie gets very upset, and can't answer him, but she changes the subject, and says she's hungry. Ellie tells him that she's making him a small sandwich, and she won't put mayonnaise on it, so that he doesn't get tired. Charlie looks at her with love, and tells her that she's a beautiful girl, and Ellie is kind-hearted. She thinks a lot while holding a knife, and cuts into the kitchen wood unconsciously, and it appears that she has great anger toward her father. After a while, Charlie is asleep while he is eating, so Ellie takes out the plate. And then she walks through the apartment, until she shows her father's room, and it becomes very messy. She opens the room next to it, which is Alan's room, and finds it very clean and tidy, so she is very surprised. Before she enters the room, Thomas knocks on the door. She makes him enter and sits with him. Ellie then confesses to him that she put sleeping pills for her father. Meanwhile, she asks Thomas to smoke weed with her. Thomas refuses and tells her that he was an addict and stopped. But Ellie forces him to drink, and tells him that if he doesn't, she will give her father more sleeping pills. Ellie tells him that she has 20 pills with her, so Thomas is very afraid, and asks her about the reason for what she is doing. But she gets mad at him, and tells him to drink, or she will call the police, and tells them that he tried to rape her. Meanwhile, Thomas drinks quickly, and she takes more than one picture of him while he is drinking. Suddenly, she says that she knows he is lying to them, because she asked one of her colleagues in the same church, and she knew that the activity he was doing in his village stopped years ago. Thomas gets nervous and tries to escape from her, but she prevents him. But he quickly hides in Alan's room and locks himself in the door. She then asks him to tell her the truth. After a while, he tells her that he was on a mission relating to the church, and that his father had sent him on this mission because he was shy of him, because he used to drink weed. While he is talking, Ellie opens the voice recorder. Thomas completes and says that every time he goes out on a mission to call for people, he doesn't feel that he is really helping them. And he tried to suggest to the priest to change their way, but none of his ideas are implemented. And one day, he decided to run away. He waited while everyone fell asleep and stole all the money, and escaped completely from the city. He then threw his phone and decided to live alone. Thomas notices the book of the Bible in Alan's room, and when he opens it, he finds a mark on verses in it. He takes the book and opens the door. Then he says sorry to Ellie that he lied to them, and walks away. Meanwhile, Liz comes with a woman named Mary. Mary is Ellie's mother, and Charlie's ex-wife. When they see Charlie sleeping strangely deeply, Liz knows that he has taken a hypnotic. She gets mad at Ellie, and she wakes up Charlie, then gives him an oxygen tube so that he can breathe. After Charlie wakes up, Liz asks him about his health, and she measures his heartbeat and is shocked. Meanwhile, Mary interrupts them and asks Ellie about the amount that Charlie offered her, but Ellie can't answer. Then Liz replies and tells them that Charlie doesn't even have money. Liz notices his expression and realizes that he has money, and he lied to her all the time before. Charlie had a lot of money in Ellie's banking account, although it was possible to buy health insurance, or even go to the hospital for treatment. And Liz tells him about every time he could have died because of the lack of money. Charlie apologizes to her, and tells her that this is Ellie's money, and he can't take it. But Liz gets mad at him, and doesn't believe what she hears. She goes out the door of the house, but Charlie breaks down, and begs her to be with him. Then Mary asks her daughter Ellie to go, to speak with Charlie privately. Mary asks Charlie about what happened to him, and she becomes so sad. After this, she sits close to him, and they think together about their memories from the past. She confesses to him that she refused to let him know anything about their daughter, because she was afraid that he would see her as a bad mother. And this is because Ellie becomes an evil person, who hates all people and hurts them. But Charlie refuses to believe her, and asks her not to talk about their daughter like that, because he sees her as a perfect and beautiful girl. Mary then opens his laptop, and shows the picture she took of him, and Ellie made fun of his picture. Charlie tells her that this doesn't mean that she is an evil person, but rather she is honest and tells the truth. Mary gets mad at him, and asks him to respond to her with logic. She says that Ellie used to enjoy making her classmates cry, and used to cut the tires of the teachers' cars. Mary tells him that Ellie hates him so much, and she was afraid that Ellie would kill him. But Charlie tells her that he is sure that Ellie is a good person and kind-hearted. Mary asks Charlie how bad he is, and Charlie tells her that he will die. She gets very angry, and gets up from her place. But Charlie tries to calm down Mary, and tells her that he doesn't need anything, but wants to make sure they will be fine. Mary tells him that they will be fine if he goes to the hospital for treatment. But Charlie tells her that he won't go to the hospital and this is his choice. Mary gets angry and takes everything she owns to walk. Before Mary goes out the door, Charlie cries, and tells her that he wants to make sure that he did only one right thing in his life. But Mary's still standing and tells him that he gave them the money, and she spent it to care for Ellie, and he did his duty. Again, Charlie stays alone and sad. Then he orders a pizza and sits at the window, but finds that the pigeon dish is broken. Meanwhile, the delivery boy knocks, and Charlie asks him to take the money from the box as usual. Charlie makes sure that he walked, and then he goes out. But he meets the delivery boy standing on the stairs, and when he meets Charlie, he surprises and walks. Charlie gets very upset, and makes sure that he is a hated and ugly person. He then eats a lot for a long time, until he vomits most of the food he ate. After that, he breaks down in tears. Suddenly, the door knocked again, and Thomas appears. He confesses to Charlie that he escaped because he committed the crime of theft. It seems that Ellie sent an audio recording and a picture to his family, and they spoke to Thomas and begged him to come back, and told him that they forgive him. After doing that, Thomas becomes very happy with what Ellie did, and tells Charlie that he doesn't know if she wanted to hurt him or help him. But now he is happy and will return home. Charlie is surprised that his daughter was able to reach his village, and then sends a picture to his family. But Charlie looks at the situation in a positive way. He thinks that his daughter is very smart, and he is sure that she is trying to help people around her, but in a different way. Thomas sits down and opens the Bible book that he found in Alan's room, and says when he surrenders his soul to the Lord, all the sins that he committed through his body will be removed. At that time, he will be able to live freely. Charlie asks him if he sees him as ugly, and he keeps pressuring him, until Thomas tells him yes. Charlie apologizes to him for his way, and asks him to go home. After all of these, he continues to eat like crazy, as if eating is the only way to escape from his pain and sadness. He then opens his laptop and writes a letter insulting all the students, because they aren't honest. The next day, the last lecture comes. Charlie reads to each student something honest that they said to him. But before finishing, he thanks them because they were honest with him. And for that, he must be honest with them too. He then opens the camera for them. Charlie tells them that the homework he gives them isn't important, and even the university isn't too. But the honest articles that they wrote from their thought are the most important. He then throws his laptop on the ground, and remains sitting alone. After a while, Liz arrives, and measures Charlie's heartbeat. When she hears it, she breaks down, but Charlie apologizes to her for all the pain he caused her. He then admits that he tried to save Alan, but he couldn't. After hearing that, Liz tries to calm down Charlie. She tells him without his support for her brother, he would have committed suicide years ago, and says that no one in the world would have been able to help him, and both of them cry together. Meanwhile, Ellie arrives and asks Liz to leave, because she wants to talk with her father privately. Charlie's face becomes pale, and Liz knows that he is dying, so she bids him her last farewell. And Liz tells him that she will wait for him below. Ellie gets mad at him because her article was rejected, but Charlie asks her to open the article and read it. Ellie gets shocked when she reads the article, and finds that it is the whale article, the same article that she wrote years ago. She knows that her father kept this article all the time to remember her, and this article makes him feel better. Charlie then repeats every word in the article without a mistake. Ellie tears and asks him why he did this to her. Although he can't take his breath, Charlie says sorry to her, and begs her to forgive him because he wasn't in her life all the time past. He then says she didn't deserve to abandon her, and she is the best thing that happened to him in his entire life. Charlie coughs and is about to die, so Ellie quickly goes to call Liz to call an ambulance. But Charlie begs her to read her article for the last time. Ellie starts reading it, and while reading it, Charlie struggles to get up. He stands on his leg, and moves step by step toward her. In every step, Charlie feels that he is freed from all the pain and worries that he had felt all his life. When Ellie says her last sentence, Charlie dies as if his soul left his body, and feels true freedom. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you in the next video.
Back in my bag and I gotta brag, I do this shit for real. When we was down and we had nothing, we had to share a meal. We put the shit in overdrive with no steering wheel.